Jin-Woo ended the fight in an instant, massacring his foe with brutal precision, tearing the creature's face apart at the exact same second his blade struck. The boss of the floor collapsed into a scattered heap of his own bones, having offered no defense to protect himself in the final moment. With the entire army locked in combat and their leader left alone, the battle gradually came to an end. The moment the most important monster fell at the hands of his enemy, the rest of the army began to fall apart on its own. After defeating the boss of the floor, Jin-Woo received a system notification confirming his victory. He had defeated the Soul Guide Metis. Afterward, he was sure to receive some items as a reward. Jin-Woo sat on a nearby rock reflecting on the fight. The boss's magic had been powerful, far stronger than he expected. The creature had been able to control hundreds of times more souls than Jin-Woo himself. For a moment, Jin-Woo had even considered turning the boss into one of his own soldiers. But even now, Jin-Woo couldn't understand why he was unable to use his abilities on demons. Every time he attempted to summon a shadow, the system returned the same message. His mana was infected and shadow summoning was impossible. Jin-Woo remained seated, examining the loot dropped by the boss. Among the items was a piece from someone else's gear set, something that might prove useful to him in future battles. Jin-Woo received a notification prompting him to choose the set's effect. The boost was so powerful it could be compared to leveling up 5 times, an upgrade of immense value. Jin-Woo looked at the glowing space in front of him, thinking that he was just a little closer to completing the full set. At the same time, his first major task, collecting 10,000 demonic souls, was now complete. The boy felt a flicker of uncertainty, wondering if he had reached his limit and if Jin-Woo's powers were beginning to run low. Just then, a system notification appeared, task from Part 1, completed. The next alert instructed Jin-Woo to choose his reward, and he selected the option that allowed him to pick any item of his choice, an option that was quickly confirmed. As he stood there, Jin-Woo began weighing his decision carefully. He considered selecting an expensive item likely infused with an incredible ability. However, he also knew that certain equipment could be acquired through dungeon defense. He gave serious thought to making a strategic choice, determining which item could be sold back to the store for value and which would be worth buying fresh for maximum benefit. Jin-Woo stood in the same spot for a while, still undecided about what he should choose from the store. Then suddenly a new notification appeared, prompting him to make his selection. Jin-Woo made his choice, selecting the random cursed box. He reasoned that it seemed like a good option in his situation, worth taking a chance on. In a place like this, testing a bit of luck felt like the right move. Jin-Woo extended his hand forward as a black box slowly began to materialize in his palm. A system notification appeared shortly after, asking for confirmation of his selection. Thinking about the cursed box, Jin-Woo recalled the last time he faced a similar choice between the cursed box and the blessed one. Back then, he had tried to boost his daily training in hopes of earning extra rewards, but nothing had come of it. Jin-Woo had received the key to the demonic lock when he opened the blessed box. Thanks to that key, he had been able to raise his level and acquire rare items, rewards that had proven more valuable than expected. Jin-Woo candidly admitted to himself that he was damn curious to see what was inside the random cursed box. Wasting no time, he opened it. And the moment the box was unlocked, his eye opened wide in disbelief as what happened before his eye. What appeared in its place was a key completely unknown to Jin-Woo. There were no markings, no written details. He had no idea what it was for or what door it might unlock. For the first time, Jin-Woo found himself staring at an object with absolutely no description. He had never seen anything like it before. He couldn't figure out how to use the key or even what purpose it might serve. Jin-Woo let out a quiet sigh and opened his inventory, thinking that someday he would find a use for the item. After all, the random cursed box was bound to yield something worthwhile, eventually. Jin-Woo returned to the system interface, which was still waiting for further input. Without hesitation, he confirmed his decision and selected reward number 2. A moment later, he received a notification, characterization points acquired. Jin-Woo considered where to allocate the extra 20 points, and after a brief moment of thought, he decided to invest them into intelligence. Without delay, he made the adjustment and returned to the system interface where he had already claimed 2 rewards. Only one reward remained, a hidden one. Without hesitation, Jin-Woo announced his acceptance of the item. Jin-Woo held the box in his palm, its weight unfamiliar yet oddly familiar. Once again, he reminded himself not to expect too much in a place like this. After opening the random cursed box, a peculiar bundle appeared in the palm of Jin-Woo's hand. It bore a distinct drawing and a label that read, "Holy Water of Life." According to the description, the item granted the ability to study creatures in connection with its use. Chaos had erupted in the heart of the city. Buildings burned with massive, uncontrollable flames that raged for so long it seemed as though this catastrophe could not be stopped. A large number of rescuers crowded into a single burning room, doing everything they could to extinguish the fierce blaze, shoving past one another in their frantic effort to control the fire. From a distance, the men watched the fire and the rescuers struggling in the area. One of them remarked that whenever S-rank hunters clashed, everything nearby ended up in ruins. One of the men stated the obvious yet astonishing truth that none of them could ignore. Hunter Hwang Dong-soo had lost the battle. His body was buried beneath the collapsed rocks, a sight that left them all stunned. In one of the bright hospital rooms, a bunk stood quietly occupied by a peaceful-looking woman. She appeared to be deep in the realm of Morpheus, resting calmly as she regained her strength. After a while, a whole and unharmed Jin-Woo appeared in the half-empty room. He stood quietly, his gaze softening as he looked at the woman before him. With a gentle voice, he called out to her, "Mom." Jin-Woo took a seat on a nearby chair beside the bunk where his mother lay. He moved quietly, careful not to make any noise that might disturb her sleep. But deep down, he missed her terribly, more than words could express. Jin-Woo pulled out the item he had received after defeating the boss in that ill-fated dungeon. This time he seemed to know exactly where it needed to be used. In his hand was the Holy Water of Life. It was a mysterious potion, the Holy Water of Life, known to possess the power to cure any disease no matter how severe or untreatable. Jin-Woo recalled that the item had been crafted, an object infused with powerful magic. He looked at the woman lying motionless before him, still unresponsive to any of his movements, resting peacefully in her deep slumber. Yet in that quiet moment, Jin-Woo seemed to find hope that he could finally save her. Jin-Woo realized that 3 components were needed to create the potion, but he already had 2 of them. One was a fragment of the world tree which he had obtained from the volcano on the 50th floor. He also recalled acquiring the spring water of the Whispering Forest after defeating Metis on the 75th floor. Only one ingredient remained, the purified blood of the Demon King. Jin-Woo remembered the hellish dungeon and came to a realization. The item he needed was likely on the very top floor. Most likely it would be obtained from the final boss waiting there. Jin-Woo realized that if he fully cleared the dungeon, he would have all the ingredients he needed. In just 1 week, he had managed to raise his level by 16. Now his strength stood on par with that of an S-rank hunter. The building stood tall and imposing. It was the headquarters of the South Korean Hunters Association. The men listened closely to the report on the TV. It covered a recent explosion, the result of a clash between S-rank hunters. One of the men muttered that hunters had become the problem now. After saying that he caught the attention of another male and female member, one of the men brought his palm to his mouth, lowering his voice to speak more quietly. He said that sometimes hunters who couldn't accept reality came here. The girl listening intently asked if the man they were discussing was one of them. The man continued whispering, suggesting that it was that more milk. He proposed simply telling the target to cover all the costs, then poisoning him in the reassessment room. The girl listened quietly and nodded in agreement as the man laid out his plan. The man continued to dwell on the situation that had unfolded. His thoughts shifted to a certain hunter, someone whose name had momentarily slipped his mind. He tried to recall it, piecing together the memory as it resurfaced. As if out of spite, the master sat in his office, visibly worn out from the heavy workload and the mountain of paperwork spread across his desk. Despite his fatigue, he answered a call calmly, introducing himself by name. One of the staff members spoke in a businesslike tone, explaining that the topic concerned a hunter the master had previously taken interest in. The hunter had finally chosen to come to this place after some time had passed. The master's gaze shifted instantly, his focus snapping away from all business matters. Every problem on his desk vanished from thought as he was informed that Hunter Sung Jin-Woo had just entered the building. Hunter Sung Jin-Woo had come to reevaluate his rank. He was already being greeted by a pretty girl who smiled with slight embarrassment as she spoke about escorting him to the proper location for his ability reassessment.